Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm watching a movie I've never seen before every single day this year. Welcome to episode 6, where I'm talking about movies 31 to 36. Movie 31 is Five Nights at Freddy's from 2023, rated PG-13.
There we go. Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, I've never played the games, so this was kind of just a blind pick. I saw it show up on Paramount Plus or one of the new streaming services, and I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, I guess I expected more than what it delivered. It was a fun movie, but it felt like they were trying to make a slasher movie for kids. The plot was kind of meh. It's a guy played by Peeta from The Hunger Games. He gets a job at Freddy's Fazbear's place, and he works there for 5 nights. Haha. And he's a night watch person. He sleeps every single night during his shift, which is like, okay, you're terrible, a terrible employee. But the thing that I couldn't get over is there's a scene in this movie. It's the morning after he leaves his, I think it's second shift. He goes home and it cuts back to Freddy Fazbear's place, which is like Chuck E. Cheese. I still don't understand why they hire a night manager or a night security guard, because he's there to like make sure that nobody breaks in. So people break in after his shift is over, and the animatronics just kill all the people that broke in. So it's like, why even hire a security guard if the animatronics kill people, right? So I mean, it just the premise was like weak, I guess you could say, but it's based on the game, and I had jump scares and like checking the security cameras, and it was interesting, I guess, in a way. But now I'm gonna go ahead and spoil the shit out of it. For me, this is a 2 out of 10. There's spoilers at the end where the guy that hired him turns out he's like behind it all, even though there were children that have been embodied in these animatronics. Like the children died and became the animatronics. For some reason, he was behind it all. I still don't understand why they had. It was the twist ending for what felt like no reason. It didn't feel earned. It didn't feel deserved. It was just like, oh, the guy that hired him, he's the bad guy the whole time. Also, along with the murderous robots. So it was just definite 2 out of 10. I didn't feel like I wasted my time, but also I wouldn't recommend this to people unless you're a huge fan of the games, I suppose. It was a Mac kind of movie.
Movie 32 is Old from 2021, rated PG-13.
I have thoughts on this movie. Holy smokes. This is one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen, period. The reviews online seemed very kind of polarizing. You either like it or you hate it. And I'm one that hated this movie, but I enjoyed my time. I don't recommend this movie to anybody unless you like want to watch how these people die, because the premise is interesting. The premise is like, it's straight up interesting. I would give the premise a good review, but the movie itself is terrible. So the premise is a family gets an all-inclusive vacation. There's two kids, one is 6, one's like 10. They have two parents. They get an all-inclusive vacation at this resort. They go to a beach, a private secluded beach. When they try to leave, they can't leave. They get headaches and they pass out and they end up right back on the beach. Turns out that as they're on the beach, they are aging rapidly. So they say in the movie, it seems like about 30 minutes here equates to about 1 year of our lives. And that's exactly it. I think one of the problems I have with the movie is throughout the movie, they just keep coming up with assumptions. They're like, well, maybe it's the electromagnetic poles that are making this place weird, make us age weird. And it's like, yeah, that's just the explanation. There's these characters that literally don't know about this and they're just guessing. And it turns out that that's like the actual truth. That's how it's happening. This movie really... It made me feel like I was wasting my time, not just with watching the movie, but like this whole project, because I'm watching 366 movies. So I started keeping track of how much time I've wasted on this shit so far. And so far, of the 44 movies I've seen now, I've now wasted 81 hours of my life. So it's pretty poetic, and I think the other funny part about Old was M. Night Shyamalan, the director, was the person who brought them to the beach and dropped them off. So he's not only responsible for them dying, but he's responsible for wasting your time and my time by having us watch this piece of shit movie. So I'm very happy to go ahead and get into spoilers for this one. And the spoilers are, turns out it's a pharmaceutical company that has these people, and they're doing drug trials for the people that are on the beach. So again, it's like a family of a 6-year-old, a 10 or something year old, and then, or no, I think she might be younger than him. I don't know. There's two young kids, whatever. He starts at 6, and by the end of the movie, he's like 50 something, and they're the only two kids that survive, like brother and sister. But throughout the course of the movie, just the stupidest things you could possibly imagine happen. Like two 6-year-olds that used to be 6-year-olds, and they theoretically just have a brain of a 6-year-old because they haven't gone to school in the last 4 hours that they've been on the beach, but they are like quite a bit older now. They're 8 years older, like they're teenagers. They disappear for a couple minutes and they come back, and the girl's pregnant now. So it's like 6-year-olds that are in the bodies of 16-year-olds went and had sex, and she got pregnant, and then she gives birth to the kid like 2 minutes later, like 5 minutes later, whatever it is, and then the kid dies, and oh my gosh, it went some really, really, really stupid places. But I think the whole like underlying premise for me doesn't work because they took them to the beach to do clinical drug trials. So it's presumably the parents, everybody gets a drug in a glass that's the trial drug, right? But why did the kids go? Why did they have the kids go to this thing? They were just going to assume they were going to die, even though like the parents are the ones that took the medication to do the clinical trial on. And they considered this a success because there was a group of like 10 people on the beach, and one of them had epileptic seizures that were cured for I think 8 hours or something like that on the beach, which is 16 years of time that she didn't have seizures. So like the medication they gave her would have lasted 16 years is what they're saying. But why did they have to put them on a beach and kill them to get those results? You could just give them that same medication in real life, and she's still going to not have epileptic seizures for 16 years and then not die at the end. Like, it completely blew my mind that this movie got made, because it's like there's so much shit going on that doesn't make sense. There's just terrible decisions by everybody, and then all of a sudden the 6-year-old's like, oh, well, it's the electromagnetic poles. Oh, it's the coral. The coral's gonna act like a Faraday cage. And it's like, how do you know that? You're a 6-year-old kid, right? So they swim through this coral that never existed at the beginning of the movie, and they survive. That's how the two kids survive. And they're like 50 years old, so they get the place shut down at the end, but it's like, just do regular clinical trials like every other place on Earth. Like, what is going on? It was completely baffling to me. I give it a 1 out of 5 because the movie was absolute shit, but I feel like it was, I took a lot of meaning from it because I felt like M. Night Shyamalan was wasting my time, and in turn, I am wasting my own time by watching 366 movies.
Movie 33 is Past Lives from 2023, rated PG-13.
I really, really enjoyed this movie. This one's an easy 5 out of 5 for me. I would highly recommend this to anybody. I know that it probably doesn't sit well with everyone, because we'll get into spoilers about why it doesn't, but the whole idea here is there's these two people that were essentially like childhood sweethearts. So they never like dated as kids because they were like young, probably like between 5 and 10 years old when it shows them at the beginning. But it really made me feel like I want to reach out to my old friends that I miss. I used to hang out with in elementary school and I haven't seen in forever, I miss my childhood friends I don't speak with anymore. I got a lot of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind kind of vibes because it felt like they kept, drifting apart, but they would keep coming back together. And in the movie they describe it as Inyun, which is like a Korean term to mean past lives. Like in our past lives, we were friends, or you were a fish and I was a fisherman, and we had like some sort of interaction in the past or something like that. So it really hit for me because I've always said to people that, or not to them, but like I've always felt this way. If there's somebody that I got along with really, really, really well, and like they're in a relationship or I'm in a relationship or both or whatever the case may be, and we're just like really, we just hit it off, and it feels like there's just an underlying deeper connection. It feels like, well, in a different universe, like we probably dated, and that's kind of how I felt watching Past Lives, and that's really kind of the message of it. Even if you're not together, the very beginning of the movie, it shows 3 of them at a bar. It's her and her husband and this old childhood sweetheart of hers. It's very poetic that it can that's okay, it's a beautiful thing in and of itself that they knew each other, and in their past lives they were together and connected, right? So I'm going to throw up spoilers here real quick just to say one thing. So at the end of the movie, they don't get together. She's married and he is not. So he's a single guy that came to visit her in New York, and they just live 2 separate lives now, and that's okay. I'd say it was a beautiful movie. Like, I cried, I laughed. It was, like I said, I miss my childhood friends. So it was great. I highly recommend this movie. 5 out of 5.
Movie 34 is the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978, rated PG.
And this one was cool. It was really interesting to watch a movie from the 70s because it went places. I mean, it was rated PG and the effects were good and like for 1975. So I liked this movie. It wasn't fantastic and it was kind of, dated as it was, but it was really cool to see Leonard Nimoy, Jeff Goldblum, and it was very suspenseful. It almost felt like The Thing, where it's like they could be anywhere. Because they literally take the bodies of people. So it's like your old friend, your husband, your wife. They're acting weird. Like, have they had their bodies snatched? For me, the total review I gave this one was a 4 out of 5. So we'll throw up a spoiler thing here. Again, like a suspense thriller from 1975, highly recommended. But the spoilers at the end are humanity is essentially wiped out and they're all pod people. So, it is what it is, but sometimes a horror movie ending like that is a good ending. So 4 out of 5 for me.
Movie 35 is The Passenger from 2023, and it's not rated.
So this was a newer movie that came out last year, and I'm a big fan of Red Letter Media, and they had a triple feature with Kyle Gallner, and that made me really want to watch this thing. So that's one of the reasons I did. Also, it was on Amazon, so this is a really good suspense movie. It starts out with these two guys working at a fast food joint. Kyle Gallner is this character, and then this is the other guy. This guy's like really timid, and he's getting bullied by his coworkers at work. And it's before the store opens. There's 5 employees, so there's the manager, these two guys, and then a couple. And the couple is really, really picking on this guy. And Kyle Gallner is having nothing of it. He's like, why aren't you fighting back? He doesn't say that, but he's just like watching from afar as he's like mopping the ground. And he's like, this is like, stand up for yourself, buddy. What the hell? The couple makes timid man eat a hamburger that's been sitting out for like a couple days or something like that. So it's all moldy and gross. And he like keeps eating that cheeseburger just because they told him to. And they were going to like beat him up or something. So while this is happening, Kyle Gallner's character goes out to his car and grabs a shotgun. And he takes the shotgun and he goes inside and he kills all the other people in the restaurant. So he kills those 3 people. He kills the couple and the manager, leaving just these 2 in the restaurant. And it's like a burger joint, So Kyle Gallner makes them get into the car and they go on a trip. And it turns out the trip is to kind of go into Timid Guy's past and figure out why he's so timid, like what happened to him. And it goes places. It's very intense. I don't recommend this to a lot of people just because of how tense it is, but if you like tension and like a good thriller, this is fantastic for that. I feel like the message at the end was really good. It basically, don't feel sorry for yourself if you're not doing anything about it. Like, get out there and like make a move, Sometimes things are going to be hard to do, but just go do it. And I'm going to throw a spoiler on here. It turns out the reason that this guy is so timid is when he was in like 5th grade or something like that. They were flicking erasers, doing this kind of thing and like flicking erasers, right? And the teacher was like, stop it. Stop doing that. So he got frustrated and he took the eraser and he put it on a meter stick and he catapulted it towards the teacher. And it hit her in the eye and she lost the eye. So it ruined her life, essentially. So she went on a sabbatical for a while and she didn't teach for a couple of years. So he really, really took it personally because he's like, hey, the last time I made a serious decision myself, my favorite teacher lost an eye. And it was everybody's favorite teacher. Like, everybody loved this lady. And he was like, that's why I don't make decisions for myself. I just do what I'm told and kind of just skate on by. So during the course of the day, the trip, as they're driving around, obviously, with the cops getting closer and closer, because he killed 3 people at work this morning, they end up going to see the old teacher, and she is thrilled to not only to see him, but just to be alive. She's got an eye patch, and she had a daughter, and she's happy. She's genuinely happy. She pours him tea, and they have like a really, really good relationship. She forgave him immediately, basically, and she's like, it's hard to get mad at a 6-year-old, like you don't fully understand what's going on. And so it really showed me like, hey, don't be a timid little bitch. Like, go do something about it. If you're afraid, talk to somebody for help. You know, make changes, make moves. It was cool. I think the ending was really good, and this is a solid 4 out of 5 for me.
The 36th movie of the year is La La Land from 2016, rated PG-13.
And we all know this movie. This was the Academy Award not winner, where they went up and started to accept it or something like that, and it went to Moonlight instead. I really like this movie, even like despite its flaws. So I'm not a big fan of the fact that it's literally glorifying L.A. The way that it was told was pretty good though. So the first half of the movie was kind of like sugarcoating LA. You know, it was like, oh, it's so lovely here and blah 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 blah. Everybody's singing songs and dancing on their cars and like denting the shit out of their car hoods and the tops of their cars, which I thought was hilarious at the beginning. But about halfway through, it kind of like, you know, reality kind of set in a little bit more and things started to go wrong for them. And you know, she's an aspiring actress in LA and he's a musician who wants to own a jazz club. So it was really cool to hear all this jazz music because I'm a big fan of jazz, always have been. And it was cool to get her involved and whatnot. Halfway through, I think the message was it's sometimes really, really good to have someone else that believes in you too, because sometimes, you know, if you get caught up on your own bullshit, it's good to have somebody there to kind of like push you that extra 2 or 3 inches, or sometimes a mile, to get you on to what you want to do, what's best for you in the end. Yeah, it was. I think the reason I liked it so much is specifically because of the ending, so I'll throw this on here, is at the end of the movie, they don't end up together. So it was a lot like Past Lives, you know, where it was kind of like the Inyan type of thing, where it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. They had wonderful times together, and they learned a lot, and they supported each other, and because of that, time passes, and you know what? He owns his own jazz club, just like he always dreamed, and she's a movie star with a new husband and kid. So it's a beautiful ending, I thought, and there's a little reprise at the end where it kind of goes through moments of her life, but with him instead, and he's kind of envisioning himself as he's playing the piano, like what could have been with Emma Stone, you know, and it was really cool. It was a beautiful ending, I thought, and it was fun. The sugarcoating part, looking back, it was good because it was a fun part of the movie, and it just, you know, it didn't end poorly. I thought it was going to be just like sugar coated all the way through. And the Academy Awards, I know they always love that shit when it's like LA's the best city in the world, come out and be a movie star, you'll make it big. You know, it's like, shut up, come on. But it wasn't that. It was they did end up happy or whatever, but not in the way that you expected as like a easy out, I guess you could say. So this one was also a 5 out of 5 for me.
Thanks for watching episode 6, total of 36 movies rated. Stay tuned for 330 more KeveRatings. Thanks for watching.